What's good, everybody? Hope you guys are doing great. Hope you guys are preparing physically, mentally, and spiritually for the dark times that are ahead of us, and hope you guys are getting right with God and staying strong. Got some more important information to share with you guys today. And I'm going to make it very clear really quickly that this article right here came out about like 2 months ago. But it says, world's first, Israel holds you-know-what to prepare for more you-know-what, right? And I've always told you guys in my previous videos that every time they do some type of exercise or drill for something like this, right? Or just anything, right? Like the cyber thing, which is playing out as we speak. You keep seeing more and more of that. 2021 was a big year for that, right? But I've told you guys in my previous videos that every time they do some type of exercise or drill for something, it always ends up happening in the real world, and eventually they make it seem like a big problem, right? So more and more of that is happening as time goes on, and I'm going to show you guys a perfect example of this, right? So notice that this right here came out November 11th of 2021, right? And let me show you guys what happens weeks later. Basically about 2 weeks later, they come out with this, right? And if you're paying attention, you can see that they're really ramping up the scare campaign with this whole thing. But it says on November 26, 2021, the WHO classified a new you-know-what as a you-know-what and named it you-know-what on November 30th, 2021. So weeks later, you see, this is more evidence right here, folks. Weeks after they do this, which they seem to be obsessed with doing, not even just in Israel, but even here in the US and other countries, all of a sudden they come out with this, right? So again, for those of you who are paying attention, you can already see the bigger picture behind every single bit of this. I don't even have to explain any further. But I feel like at this point, if you don't see the bigger picture behind all of it, there's nothing much else that I can even tell you other than you're really not paying attention. So it goes on to say the exercise in Israel will test the resilience of systems that determine you-know-what policies, monitor you-know-what, offer economic support for citizens. We all know the truth about that too. Enforce you-know-whats and watch border crossings. So I'm going to try to make this video as short as I possibly can, but there's a lot of things that I want to go over. So another thing too, that they're talking about that's happening in Israel is this right here. And I mean, this is just laughable, but you guys can see that, right? It says Israel records its first case of you-know-what with you-know-what and you-know-what at the same time. Goes on to say Israel confirmed its first you-know-what of an individual infected with both the you-know-what and the you-know-what at the same time. Authorities said on Thursday the two you-know-whats were found in a you-know-what woman. And this is all a part of their script that they're playing out, If you're still falling for this, though, then you're probably never going to wake up and probably aren't meant to wake up. Now, I'm not going to just read through all of these articles because that would make the video just extremely long in an unnecessary way. And, pretty much it's no point of doing that when we know exactly what they're going to just be saying about this whole thing anyways, right? They're just going to keep regurgitating, the nonsense that they've been saying since 2021 about this whole thing. So another thing I want to show you guys is that these alleged numbers, which we also know the truth behind, right, are tens of thousands of numbers higher than they ever have been, right? And like I said, this is all a part of their scare campaign that they've been ramping up ever since they ever since they did announce this thing. And you'll notice that around the time they shut everything down too, these alleged numbers, according to them, have been significantly lower. So, I mean, you can see where this is going. I'm not saying that it's guaranteed that they're going to use this as the excuse all over again for everything to be shut down, because, they can take this many different directions. They can use you know, this as the excuse. They can use the recent thing that Bill Gates talked about as the excuse. You know, they can use the climate thing, right? You never know at the end of the day, but what we do know for certain is that things are not going to how they used to be before March of 2020. And we do know that things are going to get much worse. So continue to prepare yourself as much as you possibly can, because, folks, these people have been telling you since 2020 and early 2021 that this is never going away. They told you that this is never going to stop. And you can see even in early 2022 now, right? Almost 2 years into this whole thing, and they're still dragging it on. And a few more things before I wrap the video up. So in Maryland, they also declared a state of emergency all over again. Another thing that they've been talking about is this right here. This came out recently. Massive new you-know-what could be 2022's you-know-what. I'm just showing you guys what they're saying, and that's not me saying that this is going to happen for sure, but I'm just showing you guys what they've been coming out with and showing you guys an example, right, of what I mean when I say, you know, they can take this many different directions. You know, they have so many different things planned, but just know they can take it so many different directions, and we don't know at the end of the day for certain when they're going to pull these things off and exactly what they're going to come out with next. It says why the world should be more than a bit worried about India's you-know-what. This right here. Bill Gates says the worst part of the you-know-what is coming, and he's canceled his holiday plans because his close friends have you-know-what. And then something that I've went over a few months ago. Bill Gates warns of you-know-what and urges leaders to use germ games to prepare. Now, he's been talking about, I'm not even going to say the word, but I'm just going to put it in here really quickly. This guy's been doing a lot of foreshadowing, and he's been talking a lot about this right here for years and years and years. Probably even over a decade he's been talking about this. But remember, the same players of Event 201, the same players behind Dark Winter, are the same players warning you about these things. And I find it pretty interesting how the FDA actually approved something. Hold on. I'm not even going to say it in this video for obvious reasons. Hold on. I find it interesting how back in June, the FDA approved this right here for the treatment of this. You see the connection? And then I believe a week or two later after he made this warning, they said that they were investigating vials labeled as in a Merck facility. So again, that's not me saying that this is guaranteed to be the next thing, because they can take it many different directions. We never know. You know, you never know what's going to be the next big excuse, right?